Spoiler warning for Spider-Man 2's main story, this is the only one I'm giving. If you don't want to be spoiled, please click away now. If you're sticking around, I hope you enjoy this one. The Spider-Man 2 New Game Plus update is finally here, 4 months after the game's release. Now it was quite the wait, but to be fair, Insomniac had to deal with the big data breach back in December where a whole bunch of their future projects were leaked. It sucks, especially given the fact that personal information of employees at Insomniac were also leaked. Hopefully they've been able to recover since, and those Insomniac employees are safe. Although we had to wait a few months for this update, it's free because in 2024 even New Game Plus is paid DLC for some games. So what do we get with this free update? Well, the obvious things they added were of course New Game Plus, as well as Mission Replay, both of which are self-explanatory. Additionally, they also added the option to switch the time of day. You have the options of day, night, morning, sunrise, sunset, dusk, and overcast. Also in the settings menu, you can change the color of your symbiote tendrils to either black, white, or story, which means depending on where you are in the game, you'll either have black or white. So basically, you still look awkward when using symbiote abilities when you're not wearing a suit that's black or white. On the topic of suits, they added new suit variants to the black suit, symbiote suit, and anti-venom suit in the game. You unlock all of these by increasing your ultimate level, which is basically your level after you reach level 60. As you can see, I did not unlock all of them because despite speedrunning the story, I still did not get enough XP to increase my ultimate level by much. Depending on how you look at it, this is either a good reason to make players go about doing the side content in New Game Plus, or it's a lazy excuse to get people to keep playing after beating the main story in New Game Plus. If you ask me, all of the side missions are literally the exact same with the exact same outcome, so I decided against going through all of them again just to see some extra suit variants I'm not even going to use. For those that are curious, here they are. From a gameplay perspective, they added new suit tech to the game. I did not unlock a single one of these, but you'll see in a bit why they're redundant. And finally, they added in golden gadgets. It's literally just a cosmetic change to the gadgets that has no effect on gameplay. That's pretty much it. Don't get me wrong, these are all nice changes that do improve the game. However, I still stand by my point that it doesn't improve the replayability of this game by a significant margin. Though I will say that playing this game again was a bit refreshing with the fast and fluid movement. The only problem is, that's all I really enjoyed about coming back to this game. Now, this next segment is going to be me nerding about the story for a bit, so if you're only interested in my thoughts on the gameplay for New Game Plus, skip to this timestamp. See, back when the game initially released in October and I was still in the honeymoon phase for that game, I made a review that was basically me meat writing the game. However, after playing the masterpiece that is Elden Ring and replaying this game after all of the hype has died down for it, I do see that it has its fair share of issues. I'm first going to address the elephant in the room, which is the story just being a mess. This game's story has a lot of great ideas with poor execution. The Kraven arc fell flat because they wanted to put more emphasis on the symbiote towards the second half of the game. Miles avenging his father by fighting Lee was quite literally forced rather than earned, and the whole symbiote storyline had all these good ideas which just dwindled down to symbiote make you bad. Here's the thing, without going too into detail because that's not what this video is about, the symbiote has always been an allegory for substance abuse, and its main thing is that it brings out the worst in people. Kinda like letting out any bottled up feelings or intrusive thoughts, which Peter had a lot of in this story, but we never saw any kind of conflict with him and his peers prior to him getting the symbiote. This game's Peter was just too damn nice. So when he pulls a full 180 and starts being a dick to his friends, they just blame it on the symbiote because symbiote make you bad. Now I know I joked around about the Elden Ring and Erdtree being plot devices, but they quite literally made the symbiote a plot device. Not to mention that the whole third act is centered around stopping Venom and his space rock MacGuffin thing from plaguing the city with symbiotes. It just felt very rushed to me in my opinion. There was so much more they could have done with less, but they opted to just cram the game with more. This game has two main protagonists and missed with both of their story arcs. Whereas Grand Theft Auto 5, which was released over 10 years ago and had 3 protagonists, managed to give each protagonist a cohesive story that all came together to give us one of the greatest video game stories of all time. Hopefully Insomniac gets things together come the third game to end the trilogy on a high note. So basically just keep Sweet Baby Inc away from the next one. When it comes to trilogies, in my opinion, the Part 2 is either the best entry in that trilogy and is oftentimes genre-defining as a whole, with some examples being the original Modern Warfare 2 and Batman Arkham City. Or it's the worst entry in the trilogy because it suffers from being incredibly mid, with some examples being Dark Souls 2 and the new Modern Warfare 2. And sadly, when it comes to Insomniac Spider-Man 2, it's looking like the latter so far. The first game was just too good in comparison. Sad to say, but it is what it is. Anywho, onto the gameplay of New Game Plus, and rather than talk about it, I'm just gonna show you some clips of my gameplay with no gameplay audio because my recording setup was botched for the whole thing. Yep, that was the majority of my New Game Plus run. The upgrades in this game make you so overpowered that come New Game Plus you can quite literally spam your way to victory. Just a short disclaimer, I was playing on Amazing difficulty, which is this game's version of normal difficulty, I know, but I reckon that it wouldn't be much of a difference on a harder difficulty. But go ahead, type away in the comment section calling me a normie. Like I mentioned in my video that I made back in November, New Game Plus doesn't add much to a game. It's quite literally replaying the same game all over again, with the only difference being that you don't need to grind for upgrades. This is where Elden Ring breaks the mold. Yes, that game's New Game Plus is like every other game's New Game Plus. But Elden Ring's New Game Plus works vastly better than other games because there's so many things to do and multiple ways to go about doing them. Not to mention that the story alone has different outcomes, all of which have different requirements, and in order to meet those requirements, you'll have to do a bit of exploration to discover even more of what the game has to offer. And even if you choose to stick with the regular Age of Fracture ending, exploring is still heavily encouraged due to the different bosses you can find and loot you can obtain. That's not to mention the fact that when you fight a harder boss, like Melania for example, you once again face a tough challenge, and after dying a few times, you'll once again feel the satisfaction of overcoming said challenge. More so if you do it with a completely new build. Spider-Man 2 on the other hand lacks this feeling because of how overpowered you are with every upgrade going into New Game Plus. Me personally, I struggled with Venom in my initial playthrough, but come New Game Plus, I wiped the floor with him just by spamming, and it completely eliminated any feeling of satisfaction for me. And again, I understand that the difficulty I played on was a huge factor for this, but with everything I mentioned earlier, I don't see the reason for me to do another New Game Plus run in Marvel Spider-Man 2. If you're one of those people who absolutely love the game, then by all means continue to enjoy it. Don't let some hooligan on the internet ruin your day. Like I mentioned earlier, the new changes are overall improvements to the game, and there's some things that I didn't even mention because I was completely oblivious to them when playing. Those being the new photo mode features, which I didn't touch at all, as well as improvements to the Raimi suit, a suit that I used quite a bit for my playthrough. Overall, the New Game Plus update gave me an excuse to take a break from dying in Dark Souls to reevaluate my thoughts on a game that I admittingly glazed while being in the honeymoon phase. With that being said, this is going to conclude my video on Spider-Man 2's New Game Plus update. Please let me know what you think of it. As for what's coming next, I am still playing Dark Souls 1. As of recording this video, I am very close to the end of the main story, but I will be playing it again because I missed certain things that are required for certain achievements. Once I do that, I will get my review out there and move on to Dark Souls 2. Thank you once again for watching, and thank you for all of the engagement on my last video. I do make these videos for fun, but I really enjoy seeing as well as responding to different discussions in the comment section of my videos. I don't know how to end my video, so I'll see you in the next one.